Hey, check this out. As I'm got a little background music and background sermon playing, I'm gonna speak over this. This is a phenomenal, phenomenal story of Danny Trejo. This is a guy who became a felon. He became a felon, a felon, a felon. One of the most feared Hispanic gangsters in California. Then becomes a movie star, B actor, movie star, and he's known very much today in his late 70s as a phenomenal movie star. It shows what can happen when you get the right help. As my minister is speaking behind me, the tragic story about this, as I put myself on mute, is he started off with horrible parents. He had parents. One father that was really vindictive and evil and just treat him like crap. Man should be in hell right now. And any man that's this way, I curse you in the authority of Yeshua's name for treating and creating these monsters. You men who've been like that created boys like this. Now the reason why it's happened was that his dad and mom looks like they were divorced, and so he was raised around girls, and so the dad was trying to teach him machismo because he ended up going so far to the left, which opens the door to homosexuality, which a lot of these black boys today in America are, because they've been raised by their mamas and their sisters. And this is an interesting example because the church, as you hear preaching behind me, we hear over and over again in the black community, but when it comes to real life of being in person of 9, 10, 12, 13, 15, 16 years old, those most critical ages, that's the ages where you turn to crime. That's the age where you decide whether you're not going to go to college. That's the age that you decide whether you're going to be destroyed and go to prison and your whole life is destroyed, all because of what has happened between the ages of 5 and 16. Listen to this story.
A lot of people know you got the world's most famous tattoo, right?
It's been shown in hundreds of movies.
It was badass.
In hundreds of movies.
It was badass.
Women are attracted to it.
Rihanna licked it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm jealous.
You got this great tat. What is that of?
Well, you must have met people who've had you tattooed on them.
Actually, I have. But the weirdest one was Danny Trejo. He started working, and of course, he landed on the movie my first movie that I did.
You were a criminal.
Yeah.
They told me you're gonna meet this prisoner that is now an actor, and I was a little bit afraid.
Selma Hayek. God, you're just like stunningly beautiful.
And when he saw me for the first time, he ran towards me and ripped his shirt off.
And I showed her my tattoo. I said,
I knew you before I knew you.
that's a picture of you, honey.
And sure enough, there was a picture of a woman that looks exactly like me.
Salma then did something that surprised even Danny. She invited him home. Salma soon learned that Danny wasn't just an ex-criminal. He was the most feared inmate in America's most dangerous prison.
San Quentin. Never know what to expect.
I've seen inmates stabbed in the neck, throats sliced.
This was the only prison in the state to use a gas chamber.
Some of the most violent people in the world.
Manson may have been responsible for as many as 35 killings.
Believe me, if I started murdering people, there'd be none of you left.
Danny was so feared that even Charles Manson asked him for protection.
It was hard to believe that he'd been that person.
Before his life of crime, Danny was a boy who liked to play with girls.
My aunts and girl cousins adored me. We did everything separately from the men. We played make-believe and dress-up and played with dolls. One day my Uncle Rudy came in the girls' bedroom, saw me in a dress, and went ballistic. We Trejo.
So you see what happened here. This guy, as I hit that button, hold on. This guy was basically a young kid. There's so many kids out there right now. So many mamas out there right now. So many mamas out there letting this boy hang out with his sisters and they don't do nothing because they're so busy busting their tail, working their time. Ministers right here preaching like this great minister behind me, and this is Pastor Jasper Williams. But even though he can preach and sing the wonderful word of God, when it comes down to the aspect of boys like this man, the boy inside this grown man, the boy that's inside of many of us grown men, we have tragedy in how we were raised because of the lack of the father that was a good father, not the bad. Because but he had a bad father. That's the craziest part. Most of us had no father. So it's just like having a bad father. Because he's an absentee father. Watch what happens and watch what God does.
We Trejos had to be masculine. We Trejos had to be masculine in every way, at every moment.
All of a sudden, I move in with my dad, so it really changed.
It's 1951. The Trejo family are having a barbecue. Everyone is avoiding the fact that 6-year-old Danny has been locked in the car.
My aunts wanted to help, but they were too scared to get involved. So everyone continued picnicking while I watched.
Danny had learned that being a man meant never showing weakness, so he stayed quiet. Learned that being a man meant...
Listen to how your Pastor Jasper Williams in the background. And listen to him preach. Okay, beautiful. I love Pastor Jasper Williams. Okay, I'm a minister. I'm a Christian. I love old time great ministers in the 80s. Those who passed away 20 years ago, like Brother Hagin, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, 60 years ago, 100 years ago. Praise God. And 200 years ago, thank you, Lord. We got books. But the thing I realized, and this is the sad truth, as it applies to right now, and that is this. This man, this boy, was treated basically like crap by his father because the father failed to raise him. So what he did was he tried to psychologically beat him by putting him in the hot cars in the middle of the sun in a Hispanic event and the women dare not, notice the K word, the Hispanic women dare not say a thing. In the black community, there is no men doing anything because the men are gone. The women run everything. So when you're talking to a black sister, you have to literally put her butt down verbally or else physically. And that's why we have a lot of violence in the black community, because the black women fights the black man. The black man going to do two things. He's either going to fight back or he's going to whip out. If he fights back, now it goes to physical violence, verbal violence, or you walk away and just go to the next chick. Or you continue to go back in that vicious cycle of back and forth and back and forth and back and forth to the point where you can raise your voice. I remember I dated a woman years ago, and her name was Marianne. And it was literally, I got to the point where I got so angry that I almost wanted to hit a woman. And I never in my whole life felt the anger spirit, the devil, come over me, but I know exactly that spirit. That's the same demonic force that comes over many of these couples. Domestic violence couples, and the root of the issue, that the whole issue was how she was raised and how she did not want to even listen to a man, how her mindset by her parents' failures made her become to the point where she could not even listen to a man. And I was an intelligent, wealthy, working hard man. She was a poor, person that had failed in life, just got a college degree at age 33. And it was a degree that has no money. And a teacher, great profession, pays nothing. I'm talking about high school teachers, middle school, elementary, in 2021, 2022, whatever, 2019 or 2018. You know what I'm talking about. We know the game. But the reality, it didn't matter. I'm a woman. You listen to what I say, even if I am messed up as a woman, even if you are financially blessed, the bottom line is the way the game of feminism has made American women today, especially black women. And then if you get black women who grew up and they had their mamas do it with, I'm talking about, oh Lord, they done. I have many black sisters today are going to die. They're going to die in 50s, in their 60s, in their 70s alone. They're going to go to their 70s alone. They're going to die. If they make it to their 80s, they're alone. And they could have not if they had listened, but they did not want, because what happened when they were young, hard in their heart when they turned 25, now their heart is hard at 30. It's done. You can't change a hard heart at 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, especially as all the black men are dying off as you're getting older. So as it relates to men, though, the men part, this Danny Trejo makes his money today off of the violence of his career life. He plays the angry felon in a lot of these B movies. He kills. We know it's fake killing, but it may be fake on TV, but it's real on the video. It's real in the movie. So in essence, his machismo, his masculinity is what makes people like Rihanna want to lick his chest. Think about that. A black woman named Rihanna wants to lick a man's chest of a photo of a Selma Hayek, which is a Spanish woman that's very beautiful, and he's Spanish. So obviously, if he's Spanish, who his favorite woman is going to be Spanish, right? And he tattoos it on his chest. But before all of that, let's hear the story of where it all began.
Learned that being a man meant never showing weakness, so he stayed quiet in the scorching heat.
I started falling asleep or passing out, but I fought it so hard, I leaned back against the seat, then curled up on the floor. I was losing consciousness.
But suddenly, someone came to help.
My Uncle Gilbert was the only person who wasn't scared of my dad.
Though Danny's father had told everyone to leave Danny in the car, Uncle Gilbert pulled him out.
My dad was yelling at him about it, and Gilbert told him to lighten up.
He was a hero.
Danny's father had told everyone to leave Danny in the car. Uncle Gilbert pulled him out.
My dad was yelling at him about it, and Gilbert told him to lighten up.
He was a hero. I prayed to God, let me be like that.
In the years that followed, Uncle Gilbert offered Danny something his parents didn't.
I can remember asking my mom, she was on the phone going, "Hey mom," she goes, "Shut up, don't say I'm on the phone, stupid." And I asked my dad, "Hey, what is?" Now my Uncle Gilbert, I would say, "Hey Gilbert," he go, "Hey, hold on, what do you want me on?"
But there was a reason Uncle Gilbert always had time for Danny.
Everybody knew.
My mom and dad did everything to try to keep me away from him, but my uncle always had a roll of money like that, always.
The girls, the car, the money, I want that.
Whatever Gilbert did, I followed. If he played football, I would have been an athlete. It just so happened he was a drug dealer gangster.
When I realized Gilbert was doing robberies, I didn't think it was bad. I thought it was kind of heroic.
Uncle Gilbert was the only man showing Danny the compassion that he felt as a young kid. But when Danny turned 8, his first crime was a crime of compassion.
We were walking around one night and heard the cows mooing. They sounded like they were suffering, so we climbed over a big fence and set them all free. They couldn't wait to get the fuck out of there. Those cows must have been in heaven for a few hours. Because dairies are under the jurisdiction of the Food and Drug Administration, the feds were all over the place.
By the time Danny was 12, he discovered a dark side to his hero.
He was no longer like this cool Gilbert. He was like crazy. And had my grandfather's syringe. He said, "Get out of here." I said, "No, give me some." He says, "Hold this. It's a glass syringe." He does this little atomic bomb thing. And bam, he hits it, says, "Let it go." And when I let it go, I seen this whole change come over him. He gave me a fix. Next thing I remember, I was soaking wet, sitting outside my grandmother's yard. I'd overdosed. It's just gone. You're not thinking, oh, well, now I don't have to worry about school, I don't have to worry about parents, I don't have to worry about... There's nothing. And then all I remember is hearing the ice cream truck and getting some ice cream.
Danny became exactly like his uncle. A few years later, Danny finds himself on a bus, driving him to a place people call the arena.
When you're driving up that wall in Quinton and you see that gun tower, you know that once you go in there, you're not coming out. The minute the bus stops, the tension starts. You hear this engine, and all it is everybody talking. If you've ever been next to somebody that's insanely angry, 4,000 guys that angry, that's the tension in San Quentin.
You're either alpha or you're not. Someone's either gonna say, "What size shoes do you got on?" And if you don't crack them in the head that first second, you're soft. Danny's for sure an alpha guy.
I had a mentor. I had a teacher who had already been here. My uncle, he taught me everything I was going to need to know in prison.
Some people get in the library to do time. Some people, do crossword puzzles. Some people play chess. I trained. That's what kept me sane.
He was a 1966, 67, and 68 San Quentin champion.
Danny became so good at protecting himself that he started doing it for others.
We had this little protection ring going.
I feel sorry for kids that all of a sudden just end up in juvenile hall and don't understand that if you get in a fight, try to bite somebody immediately so that they know, wait a minute, this guy don't want to fight, he wants to eat me.
At times, you kind of realize what you're becoming. Playing dominoes with a lot of people around us, and I'm killing. I set the spinner, it's double five. It's like boom, 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 and boom, this guy falls on the table and he's just bleeding. Somebody just hit him bad. Everybody started getting away, and I'm screaming, "No, wait, I got fives, I got five." I remember I was in my cell and I still had my dominoes. What the f am I becoming? This guy's dying. He had a mom, a dad, maybe kids, and I'm screaming about my fives.
He was changed. He wasn't, Danny anymore. He was.
It's a monster.
As I right now am playing, you may not be able to hear in the background, but I have a Marine Corps Depot training video for all of us kids at 19 years old who are 17 for me, who decided to go into the Marine Corps, who decided to learn various things such as "I sir," "Yes sir," "No sir," "Yes ma'am," "No ma'am." Do you know, for many of us black kids, we never learned how to say "I sir" to anybody because our dad was never there. And we always said "yes ma'am," but that's not enough. You need both. You need the "yes ma'am" and the "yes sirs." What do you think happened in this situation with this young man? Number one, his parents failed him. Both of his Hispanic parents failed him. And this is to all Hispanic people, to black people, white people, the red people. You all could fail if you are not learning these secrets. And that is, you don't have kids to shoo them away. You don't have kids to say, ooh, I'm busy right now. Ooh, I'm busy right now. No, you have kids to be there for them. This ain't no job. This is a life, a responsibility, a call. And if you are a parent, your time is precious. You don't know how long you're going to be there. My mom was on that line for 49 years. She was 22 when I was born. She died when I was 25. I was 25 when she passed. She was 49. And I can tell you, in the years that I had her, there were a lot of mistakes that she made. But there were a lot of things she did right. And the thing about it, I'm grateful. But I also realize that she's no saint. We got to charge up our parents and call them out when they ish. And we don't curse on this channel, but we know how words that they make the point. Your ish. You cannot be ish. You got to do the right thing. And with this guy, literally, the reason he was alive is because he learned how to fight. 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 Think about all the dead people that did not learn how to fight, that are dead today in the graves, that we never will hear about because they're dead. Think about all the people who are dead today who weren't born again, who are in hell, and their whole life started off wrong, and they died, and they're in hell. Yes, there is a hell. Yes, there is a heaven. Yes, there is a God. Yes, there is a devil. And as I think about it, the first thing I realized, especially now that I'm 49 years old, when I reach 50 this year, and very proud of it. I had a man ask me today, how old are you? Because I feel like, in my mind, I feel like I'm 58, 60, from the knowledge of 70, from the knowledge that I've learned from the great men of God. But people think I'm younger, which is a good thing. But the thing is, you are as you think, right? As the book says, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So how you think about yourself is your age. So that's why I'm trying to think young. I'm trying to think old in certain areas, like spiritual areas. Dad Hagin, Grandfather Hagin, great men of God. But I'm trying to think young in the natural areas because I ain't trying to die way before my time. There's a lot of people that are going to die and way before their years. And it's because they thought old, they acted old, they moved old, they was old. They never meditated to keep their mind alert. And once your mind goes dementia, your body goes with it. You know what I mean? But I just want to say that why do you think this man made it out all of this? I mean, he's done so much drugs. Obviously his friend that he looked up to was a drug dealer, violent, probably MS-13, gangbanger. In the black community, we got the same thing, the Crips and the Bloods, the same thing. The difference is, in the black community, blacks ain't getting no TV show, and Ving Rhames might be one black guy who may have been there to Danny Trejo. But Ving Rhames, as I turn this fucking commercial off and get off this BS commercial, one second. Ving Rhames is probably one of the few people that went to prison, came out of prison, and got, himself movies in that regard. Most black folks, no. So when it comes down to it, I think the secret for our life, for the kids' life tomorrow, is the military mindset. Yes, I do. And it doesn't mean you got to do 20 years, but you definitely got to start off at age 10, 9, 10, 11, 12, learning yes, sir, no, sirs, yes, ma'am, no, ma'ams. Before the drug dealers come at you, before the Crips come at you, the Bloods come at you, the streets come at you. But if you don't grow up in that because your mama fucked up, and I said it, she fucked up by picking the wrong guy to have a baby with, and yes, I call y'all out. Pastor Hank said it, you were called out. You would make the choice to get pregnant, baby. We don't rape you. You choose to have sex with a man and get that sperm. So take the responsibility and stop using abortion as an option to keep having sex with a whole bunch of people that you don't want to be with and don't want to marry. I'm sick and tired of hearing women talk about all this abortion. And the bottom line is, if you never got pregnant in the first place, you wouldn't have an abortion at all. So let's go.
Danny remembered the boy he once was, the boy who cared for others.
I sat in the hole realizing that my life was over. That I'm either gonna change my life or spend the rest of my life in prison.
That night, Danny decided he was going to live his way, not the way Uncle Gilbert had taught him.
I didn't think of it as reforming. I thought about keeping a promise. From now on, you have got to do things for other people and not expect any kind of reward.
3 years later, Danny was released back into the world, claiming to be a changed man.
He came back to this house and he said my grandmother opened the door, but she didn't unlock the screen door when she saw him.
I said, Mom, can I stay a couple of days? And my mom turned to my dad, who was sitting right there, and said, Danny wants to know if he can stay a couple of days. And my dad said, tell him yes, without looking up from the TV. Walked into my bedroom, and I'm sitting in my bedroom, and I'm thinking, this is the same bedroom I was in when I was 13 years old. 26 years old, armed robber, and you're at mommy's. Your dad didn't even say hello. He doesn't really want you here. Got up, and I went and I sat in front on the ottoman in front of his television set. My dad hated tattoos, and I wanted to get back at him. I had taken off my shirt, and I got that big tattoo on my chest, and I was just getting ready to say, hey, what's up with you? You know, my mom, perfect timing, comes out. Mijo, you want some cookies and milk?
Danny put his anger aside and started living life his way.
I can remember the first person I tried to help. I seen this old lady pulling out her trash. I walked over to her, never forget her words. No me robas, Danny. She never took her eyes off me. She's like, because she knew I was gonna run to the garage and get a lawnmower, brought her can out again.
No one trusted the guy who had once robbed the entire neighborhood. But Danny didn't quit.
He learned how to help other people.
He started giving out his number, and people would just call him up.
Danny got sober and found a decent job. But one day, he got an unexpected visitor.
Gilbert holds up in a new Lincoln. He's only been out of the joint about 2 weeks. He's already got everything going for him. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking like a escape from a Vietnamese prison. I'm like just covered in grease. I'm working in a wrecking yard. And he asked me, what the f*** are you doing? And I said, shut up, Gilbert, I'm working. And he goes, here. And he gave me 2 quarters of heroin. And he gave me $1,000. He said, you want those? Get yourself together. Start, go ahead and work for me. I got the bag. I'm doing real well. I had worshiped Gilbert since I was a kid. He'd been my role model. Gilbert, f*** you, I can't, man. And the first time I ever walked away from him.
From that point on, Danny never fell under the influence of Gilbert again.
He overdosed and died. My cousin found him. That was like his big brother.
Even though Danny had veered from that path, he just loved Gilbert to death. That was his everything.
After Gilbert's death, Danny found himself acting like a convict once again.
Fresh off his hit movie debut, 23-year-old director Robert Rodriguez is casting his next movie, starring Antonio Banderas and newcomer Salma Hayek.
You and Salma developed a very nice give and take.
It's gorgeous. Easy and fantastic.
I love Antonio, but Antonio sometimes like hit me with the guitar. He has it and he's like turning and it's like, Antonio!
I needed a silent assassin, and so I told the casting director, find me somebody who just looks really menacing. And then he walked in and it was like, holy shit.
Who's that dude? He looks creepy as f***.
I met Salma Hayek. Just like stunningly beautiful. You just want to stab yourself in the eyes and never look at anybody else.
They told me, you're gonna meet this prisoner that is now an actor, and I was a little bit afraid.
And I showed her my tattoo. I said, that's a picture of you, honey.
But Salma didn't react the way Danny expected.
People are afraid of you, Danny. On a movie set, people are afraid of you because we have this look.
I was hating myself. I started hating myself.
Once a criminal, always a criminal.
Once a criminal, always a fucking criminal.
Once a criminal, always a criminal.
We have this idea of how things are supposed to be and how they're gonna be, but we forget all the hurt and disaster and riots that we've caused. I forget all that stuff, you know.
But it was Danny who had misjudged Salma.
Day before Thanksgiving, she calls me, and this is like almost 2 months later. She called with the movies order, called me and said, Danny, would you like to come to a Thanksgiving dinner? Would you? Yeah. And so I went over, she had a family Thanksgiving dinner and she invited me. She didn't know that. I went to the bathroom, almost started crying. I couldn't believe that she's so wonderful. She's so nice. Unbelievable. Unbelievably nice, man.
If you did something wrong, don't go down because of it. Your mistake, it's a valuable tool for growth.
In the years that followed, the world finally saw who Danny really was.
Actor Danny Trejo played the role of a real-life hero today.
Security video caught the accident as the SUV goes through the intersection and gets T-boned by the other car.
I just want to cry. I just knew how scared he was. I went to grab him and I seen he was special needs. Special needs kids, especially autistic, don't like to be touched. So I said, hey, wait, use your superpowers and grab me. And so he reached out, right? And then that way I could hold him and I brought him out.
The boy and grandmother soon reunited. 3 people taken to the hospital after the crash, but luckily none seriously hurt, thanks in no small part to Trejo.
Grandma was hurt. And he goes, superpowers, Grandma, and
When he made the decision that he was going to be different, he had to completely break that down. And now I think he knows who he is.
People flew him around the United States to speak.
Well, one of the most impressive motivational speakers you'll ever hear is Danny Trejo.
One day, that's all I got. All I got is one day. Do you understand? Now, how do I want to live today?
He literally drives around stopping people on the street and giving them toys.
To be my friend, you got to have thermal underwear, socks, and t-shirts in your trunk of your car to pass out to the homeless.
He dedicated his life to rehabilitating others.
Trejo's Tacos is about giving back. We're starting a foundation for autism.
I think he really has seen the value of life.
Everything good that has happened to me
has happened as a direct result of helping someone else.
The town that he terrorized in his youth now has a mural of him because of all the good that he did that outweighed everything.
So that mural on the wall don't only represent him, it represents a lot of people that changed their lives.
It's hope. I can evolve. I can change. I can dream now, and it's okay.